The floor is yours.
Great. Hello, everyone. Is my screen sharing into the room?
Yes, we can see your screen and your video, and there are a couple of people in the room.
Great. Well, welcome, everybody. My name is Bryant Karras. I'm the Chief Medical Informatics Officer for Washington State Department of Health. It's the great state of Washington in the United States of America. So I believe I know several of you there in the room, both virtually and in person. So I'd like this to be a friendly conversation, and hopefully we have time at the end for questions and can talk about how folks can build off of what we've done. As I said, I'm the CMIO for the Washington State Department of Health. I'm also a clinical affiliate faculty at the University of Washington in Seattle. I have several different hats, literal and figurative hats that I wear. I've got roles in national efforts with CDC, HL7, and the Helios Project, ASTO, NACHO, and CSTE in their Public Health FHIR Implementation Collaborative. And I also sit on the Federal Advisory Committee to the Office of the National Coordinator for Health IT. I do not have any commercial conflicts of interests of any kind. I'm a public servant and always try to do what's right for the greater good and the most and largest population possible. So what we're talking about today is how to put out the fire. And meaning that in the figurative sense of pushing fire bundles out the door, getting as much fire out there into the world as possible. And jumping straight to the conclusion, we've succeeded in that immensely. I'm really proud of our state's effort. Quick overview of what we'll be talking about today, focusing on our issuance of SMART Health Cards and the JSON FHIR bundles that make up the vaccine component of those SMART Health Cards. I'll talk about our rapid rollout of the open code technology and our partnership to get that done, how we expanded to support multiple localizations and languages, and did so in a way that others could benefit from our translations without having to retranslate them themselves. Again, I cannot thank enough all of our partners, some of whom are there in the room with you, Microsoft Research, University of Washington. I think I saw Bill Lober just walk into the back. MITRE Corporation, which assisted in some of our transformation and code review before we got agreement to implement it on site or in our cloud. The Commons Project and many, many others. The end result is nearly 2 million SMART Health Cards have been issued to individuals throughout the state of Washington and beyond, people who were no longer living in Washington or were traveling internationally and needed those codes where they were to prove their vaccine status. It's been a hugely successful program. So the timeline, this is those of you in the room in the private sector, implementing something in 2 months doesn't seem that unusual, but in the public sector and for a government agency to go from a concept to production in 2 months is a miracle. And prior to COVID, this probably wouldn't have been possible. But taking on a new functionality or a new get it done attitude with the resources and partnerships we need, that public-private academic partnership allowed us to really accelerate and get this done. It started our awareness of the technology, predates this all the way back to February of 2021, but it was the announcement by our governor that vaccines would be required, proof of vaccine would be required to enter large venues or to enter restaurants, that prompted the creation of this to assist people who had lost their CDC vaccine cards and needed to retrieve a way to prove their vaccine status. And people really engaged with wanting to have this on their phone. So we did this rapid development. We had planned a soft launch that would meet the deadline for the governor's mandate. And then once we had proven that it had worked, we would start to do our publicity of the technology. But that plan was foiled when we ended up on the front page of the Seattle Times. So this is Friday print edition, bold headlines above the fold. And suddenly, and ironically, the first sentence is Washington State quietly launches a new online tool. Well, as soon as it made the front page of the Seattle Times, it was no longer quiet. And our web app was flooded with people queuing up to get their QR codes. We suggest with our 8 of our partners at Microsoft, we quickly dialed our Azure services up to 11, and we're able to deal with that onslaught. But thank goodness we had already migrated this concept to the cloud. Pivoting to our partnership, so this is also would not have been possible without our partners. California State initiated much of this conceptually, shared their code with us. We pulled it down from GitHub, made improvements and modifications, checked it back in. California had originally done it in a few languages. We expanded that, more on that later. And then we shared our product with Oregon, who took it and made improvements again on that. So it just kept getting iteratively better and better. Ultimately, between these open source efforts and commercial efforts and other countries around the world adopting this technology and methodology, we've got the ability of over 225 million folks across the world, across the US, are able to get smart health cards, over half the states and territories. And its success going worldwide is also an evidence of the ease of implementing this technology and the power of having that interoperable standard. So these are the states and territories in North America and the US territories that have adopted the technology. Again, this public-private, public-academic, and our internal initiative, it's been a tremendous learning curve, working with our private sector partners to really accelerate this, working with our academic partners to push the technology, evaluate the technology. And then internally, it's been an amazing opportunity to teach our IT FTEs about the power of open source, about the power of FHIR, and about how these collaborations with other states really can help us overall. The title of this abstract is putting out the fire through equity, innovation, and engagement. And this project really has done all 3 of those. It's accessibility, both from a multi-language standpoint, as well as evaluations we've done for disability access. It's one of the most successful tools that we've created. The multi-language access, if you can see the scroll down menu of all the languages that this is available in. One of the most wonderful things about it, though, is that scroll down menu is not necessary because individuals have their browser set to their preferred language, and the application automatically detects their preferred language and displays the welcome screen, the instructions, everything they need in their preferred language without having to pick anything. So, but the manual pick list is still there if they need to change. This translated content goes beyond just that welcome page. We've got the translations of all the components of it, the FAQs, the two-factor authentication prompts, so the messages that go out to either the person's email or phone via SMS to confirm that they are, in fact, the individual requesting their own information. All of that is translated into their preferred language so that there's no barrier to engagement in getting access to their records. So a quick bit about the two-factor authentication. I think one of the innovative approaches is that our immunization registry knows information about these individuals, their phone number or the email address that they used when they got the vaccine. And we use that information to reach out to them and confirm that they are the individual requesting their own information. It's done through a simple form. There's no account necessary or elaborate validation. It's this simple, quick two-factor authentication. One thing that, since this was a governor-initiated mandate, one of the wonderful things that we did, and probably one of the best quality improvement efforts, was that a sweepstakes or a lottery was initiated to give away $1 million to one of the people who was fully vaccinated. And you can bet that every single person in our state was quickly double checking that we had their correct phone number and email address so that they could be notified that they won. The matching process that we utilize does a cascading matching process that helps people who have unusual spellings of their first names. But again, it's that phone number and email is required for that authentication. Here's the example of the SMS message that goes out to confirm that individual. It's a unique URL that's texted to them. They click on the URL, enter a 4-digit PIN that they have created in the request, thus proving that it was them. And again, that SMS instruction is translated into whatever language they've selected. So here's what the end result is. When they get to their issued FHIR bundled payload, it's rendered into a QR code. The SMART Health Card QR code can be scanned by cameras to decode the FHIR payload. Again, this component, the human readable text at the bottom, we have translated into all the supported languages. And here's the list of the 42 languages that are currently supported. We're expanding this to add an additional 5 languages to accommodate Afghan refugees and special immigrant visa recipients that are entering our state as well. these are being actually used in these additional languages. Spanish, of course, is the most predominant second language spoken in our state, but there's a significant number, over 30 of the languages have been utilized in significant numbers. All right. So some key takeaways. 42 languages. The Verify, which is what we call the app, the API and the QR code are released on GitHub as open code so that others can utilize it. And those translations that are embedded into those, we did that in a way that the name Washington State or the app name Verify is not in the core body of the translations. It's only in the header and footer so that others can take these translations and embed them into their own applications. So please reach out. Let's do this together. Here's my contact information. And we have some time for questions. And one other side project we're doing is for those who don't have smartphones to carry around the QR code. We've worked on creating a physical card that can be used and carried around. Any questions in the room?
All right. Thank you very much, Bryant. So online, we don't have any questions. Are there any questions in the room? Yeah, you have one? Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Bryant, this is Bill.
Hey, Bill.
I wish I could think of a question, but as usual, I can think of a comment more easily than I can think of a question. And
Right.
I was talking with...
Save me some time to respond.
Yeah, I will. I'll be quick. I was talking with Isaac a little bit earlier at lunch about the idea of sort of I'm not sure exactly how to frame this, but the idea of how a QR code fits into the workflows that people actually do. And for showing something like vaccination, it makes sense that, you got some information on your phone. When John talked about smart health links in an earlier session, he talked about how Washington was using the same mechanism in Verify to provide kind of a window into a larger set of information, into an international patient summary. And I was thinking a little bit in talking with Isaac about, like, a smart code is sort of a physical manifestation of that link. It's a physical way of saying, here's how patients can share their information. Here's how they can share their vaccinations. Here's how they can share their international patient summary. The mechanisms are a little different, but the idea is the same. But what was interesting about that was thinking about, what fits people's workflows better, maybe not just the QR code, but the actual link itself, the way of providing that API access, the way of so anyway, I guess I would say that those comments don't make a lot of sense without thinking about the way that we're expanding, the way that in which Washington State is interested in expanding Verify to provide sort of a richer set of international patient summary information. But and I know that's a little beyond the scope of your talk, but it is the next thing.
Yeah, absolutely. The next one more thing, as they say. Definitely, I tremendously share an interest, and we've got leadership support for taking this successful engagement technology and leveraging it for other information that Washington State Department of Health may have, especially in the early days of a pandemic. Laboratory test results. Our lab at the Department of Health, as opposed to our clinical partners, may be the only place in the state. In the early days of COVID-19, our laboratory was the second location in the US that could do COVID-19 testing. CDC being first, and then our state laboratory was the second place that could be done. Getting those lab test results out to individuals rapidly through a tool like this, so they could prove their status one way or the other, could be really, really powerful. And then for international travel and international patient summaries, I think that this is going to be an amazing capability going forward. So I've got, I think John showed this in the Let's Build session, but we've got our concept of how Verify Plus, the ability to create that that Smart Health link, a QR code that has more than just your vaccine information, but others, is huge. All right, any other questions? If not, I do have a short video.
Well, we're also almost about time or over time. But yeah, there are no community talks after this, right?
All right, well, I'll let the video run as people are filing out. And
But I do have maybe one simple question, because this was an Western state initiatives, right, from Washington. So I was wondering, what do other states in America do? Do they do something completely different, or?
Well, it started as a Western states initiative, and it grew well beyond just the West Coast. The governors, the Western governors, Washington, Oregon, and California, kind of banded together and said, we're going to do this the same way, so that people traveling up and down the I-5, the main road that goes through all three of our states, would have consistent ways of proving their vaccine status. But the methodology grew well beyond Louisiana to DC, the other Washington, as we say, the District of Columbia, where the national capital has used this same methodology. DC even used our same code base. They took the GitHub repository and transformed it into a Washington, DC resource. So there's a tremendous uptake that over half of the 40 states and territories adopted it. So it became very, and all the provinces of Canada. And then several countries around the world began uptaking the same methodology.
Very nice. So then let's use this video as a closing of the presentation, I would say.
Great, thank you.
One of the things that COVID-19 really drove home was the need for better health equity. SMART Health Cards are built with equity as a core foundation.
What the SMART Health Card did is that it gave us the ability to provide immunization information access to everyone in the state. Access to this information definitely would help keep people safer, because you know exactly what pockets of need in the population that we need to focus on.
SMART Health Card, it gets the information just in time, right where people need it, in a way that they control.
It's adoptable, it's open source, it's available for anybody. SMART Health Cards helps them inform their healthcare and really puts them in charge of what they need to do moving forward.
Built on an open standard within an open community, it enabled everyone to share and collaborate and support each other. It's meant that we could do so much more quickly.
We were really, really motivated to make sure that no one was withheld access to their vaccine record because they couldn't read the interface to the web page to get it. So we made Verify auto-detect what their native language was, and then automatically display the instructions on how to get their vaccine record. We've made it available in 42 languages plus English. Nearly all of them have been utilized.
Having access to your immunization record, both today and in the future, is really the fundamental tenet of public health. I appreciate smart health cards because they really modernize our records in a uniform way. And I think that has always been a challenge, to do something that is beneficial for one, but really for all.
Nice. Thank you, Brian. I hope you can hear the applause.
I can't, but thank you so much.
There was an applause. Nice. Thank you. Have a good day, and see you in the next sessions.